Welcome back.
Thanksgiving week. I
Hate turkey.
I don't mind turkey. I don't mind turkey. I hate super large meals. Like I just,
We are smoking a turkey, a
Mm,
small one, a turkey
there
breast.
you go.
Let me rephrase. I don't like big ass turkeys that just take it's just something different to
We
me. I
deep
don't know
fry
what
it.
it is. Yeah.
Nick, we have a deep fryer, so we do the deep fry turkey, which is also very dangerous and stains your patio sometimes. So
Mm.
we're not doing it at our house this year, so at least we don't have to deal with it. But we do have to bring the deep fryer to my sister's. But yeah, I'm excited because we're my brother moved to Charlotte a year and a half ago, and we have not seen them much since then because we have not been able. Nick travels to Charlotte, so he'll see them sometimes, but
Mhm.
like we haven't taken the whole family out there yet. And they're coming in for Thanksgiving, so we'll be able to see them. It'll be a big, crazy. I actually bought a card game that I'm excited about. That's called Tails,
Okay.
and there's different versions. There's like a family version, a couples version, a
Yeah.
friendship version, and it has questions like, "Who would be the first person in your family to get voted off on Survivor?"
Yeah.
Or like, who would be the first person you'd call if this broke? Like those types of
Yeah.
things. So I feel like it'll be for who would be the first person in your family to start a fight at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this will be fun or create a lot of issues in our family. So either way, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
And it's
So
good. Like we love playing games. We just got a new one. It's called Flip 7. And of course, Marcus is like 6, 7. I'm like,
six, seven.
I'm gonna put soap in your mouth and you say 6, 7 one more time.
It means nothing. It has no meaning.
Yeah, and now I'm seeing all of these reels about it being like demonic and like I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I just think it's really dumb because here's my all right, if you're dealing with water retention, you're waking up puffy, your ankles or your wrists are really swollen, or you can't get your rings off, and maybe you're even dragging throughout the day, no matter how much water you drink, there's actually a good chance that you're not actually hydrating properly.
Exactly, because water alone is not enough. You need electrolytes, you need sodium, potassium, magnesium, because those things actually pull water into your cells. Otherwise, you're basically just flushing it out and wondering why you're still tired, you're still bloated, and you're still sluggish.
But here's the thing, most electrolyte supplements out there aren't helping you in any way because a lot of them contain things like natural flavors, food dyes, and maltodextrin, which can irritate your gut. And these things can also spike your blood sugar when you're trying to heal.
That's why we both started using Buoy. It's super simple, just trace minerals and electrolytes in liquid form. No flavors, no colors, no sugar, no sweeteners, and you squeeze it into whatever you are drinking. Water, coffee, tea, smoothies, you name it.
And it's clinically backed by science too. So studies have shown that Buoy helps you hydrate better, 64% better in fact, and that's data coming from key blood and urinary markers, not just marketing fluff. And honestly, you can feel the difference. I've had many clients tell me their digestion's improved, they have less headaches, and they're better energy throughout the day.
And Buoy isn't just for people that go to the gym all the time and sweat a bunch. They actually offer a 35% lifetime discount for anyone that's struggling with chronic illnesses. Things like POTS, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, chronic migraines, and every autoimmune condition. They're really committed to making better hydration accessible to people who need it most.
I actually throw it in my coffee every morning because it's such an easy upgrade. You don't even taste it, but you're definitely gonna notice if you miss it.
If you're tired of playing hydration roulette and want something that actually supports your body, you've got to try Buoy. It's honestly one of the simplest ways to feel better faster.
If we are going to say something means so, I'm not rating it a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. If
Yeah.
it's so to me, I'm gonna be like, that's like 3, 4. And then one of our friends is trying to be like 7-Eleven, and we're like, that doesn't make any sense either. So just everyone stop with the 6, 7. But I do like some of the reels that are going around. That's like Jesus or the Bible was the real 6, 7 because it goes through like different scriptures and like how they align. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool if you're using it as a teaching moment, but otherwise it means nothing, and it's just real annoying in terms of how the kids are saying it. So yeah, we're smoking a turkey and then we're doing just like non-traditional stuff. I think I was telling you about this, but I love making baked brie. And it's like the easiest thing ever. You just take a round of brie and you wrap it in croissants. Yeah. You wrap
Mm,
it in croissants and you bake it just like you would the croissant. And then when
mhm.
you cut into it, you can serve it with like fig jam or,
Yeah.
another type of, it's so good. So, we're doing that and then some like other different like appetizers. And then on Saturday is really when we celebrate Thanksgiving. And
Okay.
that's all seafood at my brother's house, which is the best because he buys it from Costco and they have the best
Mm,
seafood. So, anyways, we're going to talk about signs of an overactive immune system. You will often hear us talk about this on the podcast in various ways. We'll talk about it in terms of genetics, like people who are more prone to having an immune system that is triggered hair fire, like when we're looking at our complement genes and we're looking at these genes that just leave us more susceptible to the body mistakenly attacking things that it really shouldn't because the immune system is not able to maintain homeostasis easily or calm down that inflammatory fire easily. So, kind of the way that we say this from a genetic perspective is if you think about your car, you're driving down the road and you're producing heat, you've got an engine, you've got a coolant, and you've got, a fan to essentially cool that engine off. Well, when you're out of coolant and your fan is broken, your engine is going to overheat, right? So we don't have the proper tools to keep it at a temperature that's going to allow us to keep driving down the road and we get to our destination, everybody's happy. That's kind of the way I would say it from a cellular level. That's very layman's terms for people to understand. Your cells, when they're doing their job, they do produce a lot of heat, and we need the ability to deflame. And part of that is going to be these immune system genes, our complement genes, and things that are really going to help us not stay in this stuck state if we're looking at like a Th2 pathway or Th1
yeah.
pathway. So these are just going to be signs. We're not going to go sciencey really here on you guys today, but we're going to say, hey, what might indicate that I have an overactive immune system? And I don't know what number it is, but I want to just talk about it first. And number one is that you never get sick.
Oh, yeah. I actually don't know if that's on this list. So because this is the thing with the immune system is essentially you should, in layman's term, your immune system should be able to launch a response when there is a pathogen or a virus, have a response, and calm down from the response in reasonable amount of time. What happens when your immune system becomes chronically escalated? You don't feel a response because it's constantly freaking out. And so your immune system is either so depleted that it can't even create a response, AKA you get sick, you have a fever, you have a stuffy nose, you have whatever. That's like an acute illness. Everyone knows what it's like to have an acute illness. If your body never gets sick, that's a sign that your body cannot even launch a response, which is why we talk about it. You heal in flares. That's actually a good thing. It's your body regulating itself again, figuring out what to and what not to respond to, and how to calm itself down after a response. And so typically having an overactive immune system is you never actually get full blown sick. Like you can't remember the last time you had a fever, but you never feel great. That's pretty much like we know that there's stuff going on. You're dealing with symptoms, but you never have this, I'm actually sick right now. That's not a good sign. So it's
Like you're
actually
not
not on
producing
this list.
fevers. I'm working with a client out of Canada, and this little boy had mold mycotoxin illness and really never gets sick. His body's just sequestering everything. And it's so funny because I got a message from his mom, like, he has boogers and he has snacks. And our nurse practitioner that's on the team is in our chat. And she's like, this is amazing, right? His immune system's starting to build up this energy that it can now start to
Mhm.
respond. So it's like you never not want to be sick. Like
Yeah.
little Ethan, he's not missed a day at daycare. He's had the cough, he's had the sinus, he's had these other things. He produces a fever when he needs to, but he's never turning into this like disaster that needs to be
Mhm.
home. And so that's also a good thing. Like you want to have these signals from your body. And
Yes.
there are other signals here that we're going to talk about too, but we didn't have that on the list. And I think that's one of the biggest things here because people think that my immune system is great. I never get sick. And I'm like, haha, you have OID. You are me. You are who I was, right? And
Mhm.
it's not a prize to never be sick. You want to be able to mount that response and get over it. So that was
Yep.
now we're gonna go into 10 signs.
Now, number one, fatigue that doesn't make sense. And this is not just like I'm tired, this is cellular exhaustion. This is viruses literally hijack your mitochondrial machinery. And that's the part of the cell that makes the ATP. That's like your energy currency in the body. And so people feel heavy. They feel slow. They feel like their body is made of cement, right? It feels like my legs get so tired so easily. There's no amount of sleep that touches it. That's the other thing is you wake up and you feel like you never actually slept. You sleep through the night, but you're exhausted all the time. Your HRV is tanked. That's not just stress or being busy. Like that is mitochondrial workload being hijacked by a virus that can't be managed by the immune system. You guys, everyone's like, should I test for EBV? Do you know how much of the population has EBV antibodies? The majority of the population. But if your immune system is healthy enough to manage the virus and keep it at bay, It's not a problem. EBV isn't the problem. Chronic Lyme isn't the problem. Even mold and mycotoxins typically aren't the problem if you are not in the environment anymore. It's the immune system that is no longer healthy enough to be able to manage it. And so it just runs rampant. So that is what happens when you are just exhausted. And then I would even tag onto this. This is number two, but it's basically the same thing of post exertional malaise. So, like when you work out, you crash.
Mm.
Or if you have like a really, really long day where you were on your feet a lot or you were moving more than you normally are, that's one of the biggest tells to me is like you can be okay, but if you exercise or push just a little bit more mentally or physically, you crash hard and you like can't recover for multiple days.
Yep.
It's it and I remember this. Like I remember I would have, these workouts and I would just be out of commission. Like I would have brain fog the next day. I felt like I couldn't do another workout at the same intensity level. And it essentially happened because your mitochondria cannot create energy fast enough. So the immune system and nervous systems trigger this inflammatory wave in response. I would wake up swollen
Yep.
from workouts. Like not just I'm sore, like I was puffy. And because I didn't catch on to what was happening, I lived in a perpetually inflamed state. Like looking back at the photos, it's insane to me how freaking inflamed I was.
Yeah.
And it was swelling.
Yeah. A good friend of ours, Sonia, she was just on Vince's page and he was explaining, she was doing training for a bodybuilding show. And he's like, left to right, this is before and after a workout. This goes back to your inflammatory genes as well. So, again, another reason why we love genetics in our practice. And then also just having the feedback and, recognizing that we saw this all the time, didn't we, in the gym?
Mm.
You're 6 days a week at the gym. Good for you. I'm proud of you. You're active, you are disciplined, you are showing up for yourself, but also your body is screaming at you. And that's why you're not seeing the progress that you want. You're not giving yourself proper recovery time. And maybe you are doing the wrong style of workouts for you. Maybe it is that CrossFit style or the high intensity style of training that's leaving you inflamed for multiple days. And so you need to move into more bodybuilding. I am so happy that I don't have to do those crazy intense workouts anymore. I've been running with Marcus and that's been fun, but we're also doing like 10 to 12 minutes. We're not doing anything like 45 minutes full out that we used to do at the gym, I remember. And I feel good after my bodybuilding workouts. I feel that I recover well. I have my rules around it. I listen to my body, but I have a better physique now than I did then. And, there's always things that you can optimize and improve, but listening to that feedback is important. All right. Number 3, swollen or tender lymph nodes. So especially when we're thinking about under the ears, right? The back of your ears, like this is a really important drain that you're thinking that you want to move down into your clavicle area along the jawline. If you haven't seen, I have a couple of videos on this in terms of facial lymphatic massage. Very important. People will notice a shift in their face and the structure and the puffiness, but also just like how much fat essentially they look like they have in their jawline when they're able to move the lymph systems. Back of the neck, armpits. This doesn't necessarily have to be painful, but you can just feel that fluid that build up there. That's lymphatic backlog. And so this is one thing that I would really focus on activating yourself manually with dry brushing, manual lymphatic massage, and just basically supporting your body's ability to move fluid through and not get stuck. Because this is one sign that your immune system's saying, I'm, actively surveilling something that I don't trust. Number 4, migrating joint and muscle pain. So this is not the same as like a structural pain from an energy. This is going to be pain that moves around. That can also be a classic sign of Lyme disease. So one day your elbow hurts, one day your ankle hurts, one day your knee hurts. It can come and go, but it feels inflamed. It's not necessarily swollen. This is going to be a cytokine driven pain. So the immune system signaling molecules that are causing the nervous system irritation, not necessarily joint damage the way you would feel it in terms of like a rheumatoid arthritis or something like that. Number 5 kind of goes hand in hand with some things we've already talked about, but brain fog, word recall issues. If you're not recovering, if you're full of inflammation, your gut is dealing with a lot of infections and that are driving inflammation. This is going to be gut on fire, brain on fire. You're not detoxifying well. You're not able to get the right nutrients across the blood-brain barrier. You're getting the wrong nutrients across the blood-brain barrier, right? A lot of people will say like, I don't remember words. I don't feel like I can recall short-term information. That person's name I just learned 5 minutes ago. I feel like I'm losing my brain. That's not mental health. That is absolutely brain inflammation and microglial activation. The immune system is being triggered. And so This could be that you're also just struggling. You can see the word, you're thinking of it, but you can't get it out. That could definitely be another sign because inflammation is impacting the neuron signaling as well.
Yep. Number 6 is temperature instability. So this is something that we see a lot, and people think, especially if they're in their perimenopausal years, like it's hormones, I need hormones. Not necessarily. So when you have chronic immune activation, your hypothalamus, which is your thermostat, gets affected. So you get easily cold, you get intolerant to heat, you have random mini sweats, you wake up sweaty at night. That is immune and nervous system dysregulation. I'm not saying that hormones may not be a piece of that, but I rarely go directly to hormones when I see someone start to have night sweats. Like, that is, especially females when they're leading into their cycle, that's a detoxification issue. That is leading into your period, progesterone drops, which is naturally anti inflammatory. And in turn, your immune system can become more rampant and it can cause these, responses thermostat wise to where you are outside in the heat and you come inside and you have hives, right? Like that is not a normal response. But believe it or not, we've seen both. We've seen intolerance to cold and we've seen intolerance to heat, and they are viral immunological issues. Okay. Sleep, that is not restorative. You may fall asleep, but you do not get quality of sleep. Dreamlessness is a clue. If you do not dream, you likely are dealing with some type of immune system, detoxification issue, cortisol issue, frequently waking between that 2 and 4 a.m., because that is when the immune system does its heaviest work. That's when the liver's asked the most of. That time frame, 1 to 3 a.m. technically is the liver, but it overlaps a little bit with that immune system. And so if people do not have adequate immune function, they are going to wake up, their body is not going to be able to get into deep sleep and restorative sleep, and they're going to feel exhausted the next day. And then the last three we can group all together technically because they all have similar kind of appearance per se in terms of they are outwards. You have canker sores, cold sores, eczema flares, or herpes outbreaks. So when someone has chronic viral activity, the immune system's already running hot, using up nutrients, struggling to regulate inflammation. And so the skin and mucosal surfaces are kind of like immune dense tissues. And they are the first place a lot of times that things show up for people. And so canker sores inside the mouth, canker sores are not obviously a herpes variation, but they're a more an immune stress indicator. So when the immune system's overloaded, viral activity's up, also a folate B12 deficiency sign a lot of times with canker sores, or histamine and inflammatory cytokines are elevated. And so they usually show up. When do they always show up? When you're super stressed out, when you have cycle changes, so progesterone dropping leading into the period, lack of sleep, a heavy workout during an immune dip. So canker sores are that immune system is overextended, but then cold sores and herpes outbreaks are a little bit different. So they behave the same way where they live dormant in nerve tissue and they reactivate when the immune system is taxed. Okay. So when stress happens, UV exposure, sunlight, right? When your immune system is stressed, you are not tolerant to heat. It's a stressor. And so they can pop up there. Illnesses, hormonal shifts, like ovulation is a big one with the histamine release, poor sleep, infections, or gut inflammation. And so it's not random when you get them. It is your immune system being like, hey, I'm currently fighting something below the surface, and I'm going to show it on the surface. And then the last one, skin flares.
Yes. So I see those a lot in the same way that you just talked about in terms of people are in new environments and their immune system is not tolerating some of these new exposures. And so that's setting off more of a allergy or histamine like response. We have to remember that your skin is your largest surface organ and it's taking everything in from the environment around you, but it's also one of your largest detox organs, right? So this is really important. It kind of becomes that overflow drain. I was chatting with one of my clients this week and it was really quite interesting. I forgot exactly the whole conversation, but it was like, I noticed that in certain places, oh no, we were talking about she has a lot going on in her gut. And we took a break from eradication agents for a bit because she was getting a little more of like the die off diarrhea and just kind of uncomfortableness. She's like, but you know what I noticed is that my skin was better when I was on those things because she was actively being able to detoxify through the GI tract instead of that shit coming on her skin. Right. And so we have to, again, remember that large part of your immune system resides in the gut. And so these activations, wherever you're at, these responses, if you're body and your immune system's unable to recognize it as like, we can handle it, we're okay, we can maintain homeostasis, that is going to exacerbate things. So especially if it's a viral activation, gut permeability, viruses, parasites, microbes that are needing to be cleaned up, that is going to put more pressure on mast cell activation, and then histamine elevation. We can't break it down. And so therefore we get this itching, redness, hives, dermatitis, eczema, flares, rashes, those types of things as well. So what I would say is pay attention. The only caveat I want to make to this is that, especially because right now we're in this season where weather is changing, if you don't have a great skin barrier, meaning it's permeable, right? Like you have dry, cracked skin, you do have eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, rosacea, those types of things. Sometimes we'll see those flare because of these temperature changes and because you're not properly hydrated, your skin is not moisturized appropriately. And so you need to look at what you're using in terms of your water quality, the things that you're using topically, and then, of course, your internal environment as well. But that, in terms of like the weather, that definitely makes a difference in terms of the skin barrier. All right, lab patterns that would point us to this. We're going to run through these. You can pause this, write it down, go back and listen. We also have a notion about this as well, which is like our blog that we keep on these things. But lab patterns, low white blood cell counts, especially if this is chronic, under a 5.0. Immune exhaustion, viral suppression, low lymphocytes under 25%, chronic viral impact on your immune cells. High eosinophils. So, eosinophils are going to tell us if your body is reacting to food, allergies. It could be also something that is going on internally in terms of parasites that are driving this up, but it's going to stress out the ability to break down histamines. And so mast cell stress here, and again, immune activation, because your eosinophils are going around and they're scavenging. And, sometimes with our genetics, there is certain markers where we make too many eosinophils. And again, we're mistakenly thinking like good things for us are bad. So an apple or chicken or, fish or whatever kind of depends upon the whole body system, but we can see that on labs, and that can be a trend for needing to run like an MRT or something to really start to remove those irritants, if you will, and let the immune system calm down. Low CO2 under 23, the mitochondria is struggling to produce energy, or ATP. High LDH, so this is even slightly elevated. We want it to be like, what was it, 140 to 200, in that range.
170 to 200 is ideal.
170 to 200, yeah, is ideal. And so this could tell us that, tissue and cell turnover, inflammatory stress below 170 or above 200. ALT, mildly elevated, even 25 to 45, viral stress at the liver level. I also look at GGT, I look at AST, I look at bilirubin, I look at a bunch of other markers here. We're thinking from an oxidative stress perspective and like other viral load perspective. But again, these are high level. Low globulin under 2.3, low vitamin D, especially, man, it is so important. It acts as a hormone in the body. It's well researched around longevity and the ability to support the immune system. So I like to see this between 60 and 80. I think if you are somebody with autoimmune, you want to be closer to that 80 mark. 40 is sufficient, but if you are, below that range, you're insufficient, or, even lower, really deficient. And so again, running blood work, looking at this, we can also look at ANA, anti-nuclear antibodies. We can look at the EBV antibodies there, IgG, IgM, those types of things if you're, concerned about that. But really, I think that it's important to look at everything together and not just, make a knee-jerk reaction based upon like one test.
Yeah. So when we're looking at the root cause, right? The virus isn't the problem. We just talked about that. Like the Lyme, the EBV, the herpes, whatever. It's like the virus is not it. The terrain is the problem, which is what we focus on so much in our practice. And so viruses reactivate when stress is chronic, when thyroid output is suppressed, when, you're imbalanced between nutrients and minerals, when there's a gut immune axis that's overwhelmed. Like it is not kill, kill, kill. Yes, do we do some eradication? Of course we do in the process. But it's more about rebuilding the immune system and the mitochondrial terrain so that the virus cannot just run dormant again. Like how many people we talk to that things got better, then they got worse, they got better, they got worse, because you don't actually fix the underlying terrain, right? So the body is not failing, it is fighting. in the background, but it's been fighting for too long. And so you need to support the mitochondria, you need to support lymphatic flow, micronutrients, digestive abilities, nervous system regulation, right? The drainage and detox pathways. Before we ever go like super hardcore antiviral, antibacterial, all of those things, we need to make sure the body can handle it. And especially with clients that come in that I see low white blood cell count, I know they're not up for a fight right now. Like the body is not ready to handle super hardcore fasting or super hardcore, antibacterial, antimicrobial things. They need to be supported first and built back up for a period of time so that they can handle those processes. So make sure if you are working with someone, they know what they're doing. Do not go about this your own. If you need help, we have the link in the show notes to contact our practice. These are the types of cases we work on all the time. But if you just agreed with a lot of these signs that you deal with, I think it's time you find some help.